This up here, and then I will get the music on. And let me see. Here we are. We're waiting for LinkedIn is streaming. Oh my goodness. And we're waiting for YouTube. Come on, YouTube. You can do it. You can do it. We're streaming. Okay, I'm going to play make sure everything is going on here. Ms. Engineer is going to put on the music, and here we go. Can you hear it, Tim?
I do.
Good.
So you wanna be
So you want to be
a cool
a cool kid
hanging with the inset,
hanging with the inset.
looking real,
Looking real. Oh, you got good rhythm. Cool and fine. Wait for the drum roll. Casting your net.
So you wanna be
Here we go. It's a bridge. Bop, 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 bop. Thank you very much to Serge Hoffman in Paris, who wrote the music to go with my lyrics, and that's his beautiful voice. I'm Bonnie D, and we're happy to be here. This is, my goodness, I think it's number 38 of my We Dish 2, TOO. I'm the Saucy Dame, and I have a new cool dude with me. His name is Tim W. Last name is Wolter, Wolter. And he's my special guest today. Tim, how are you?
I am doing well.
Happy
You've
to
been
see
doing
you.
good?
I'm doing well, and I invited you because you were on my Technology Revolution show with a panel of very smart people talking about the future of construction and artificial intelligence. And you were one of the three people on that panel who brought me pictures of some of your favorite building sites around the world, whether these were stadiums or airports or museums and interesting places. And we talked about how AI and modern technology is at work in making them at all and making them safe. Did you enjoy that conversation?
I did. Actually, it was right after that conversation. We were invited to Dubai now to to a conference there and to set up a booth at one of the tech conferences. It was probably 2 weeks after that show. So,
Very cool. You think it had something to do with that? Well, I'm going to do my formal introduction now, so let me get started here. So let's see how you like this. You may know us well, Bonnie D and Tim W too. Seasoned in life, we love what we do. From social channels, virtual embrace, let me do a virtual hug here. We love sharing insights in this special people space. Now here on We Dish, we're here to play, lightening up life in our uniquely fresh way. Welcoming Tim W., a truly cool dude. Here's my rhyming intro. He'll add more with attitude. The story of Tim W. on safety's crusade. Bonnie D. welcomes Tim, who's always honing innovation's blade. Here we go. In Kentucky's heart, where bold visions ignite, Tim Wolter's reshaping how workers train right. Not just alerts when dangers are near, he's building safer futures so teams can persevere. With degrees in design and construction in hand, Tim mastered both tech and the lay of the land. At Cone X Us and Kinetics and more, he excelled and helped startups grow where ambition dwelled. From drafting designs to climbing the beams, Tim turned real pain into purposeful dreams. With AI and XR, his bold mission grew. Let's train to prevent, not just fix when we're through. That's a quote. When Tim's daughter in school was told she might not succeed, Tim built a new way to meet her learning need. Adapt the method, not the mind, he said. Now her path shines bright on a roll ahead. Then came a fall. Tim's close friend Dave. A ladder gave out and he couldn't be saved from years of pain and dignity lost. That moment hit Tim with life's truest cost. Tim's own crash came at fate's cruel hand. A drunk driver struck. He barely could stand, but instead of despair, he built something new, an empire of safety that actually grew. With Vera, the AI at the system's core, Safety View opens a powerful door. Simulators, alerts, and training so real, workplace protection with futuristic zeal. Tim leads with grit, with Chelsea, his wife, who brings nursing wisdom to this mission of life. Their kids help pitch and their team stands strong because shared values drive this vision along. In E-Town, Tim's building a bold tech scene with colleges, interns, and vision so keen. Let's bridge old hands-on work with new code so future minds thrive where roots once sowed. That's Tim. From E-Town's roots to a future so wide, Tim's building a tech bridge we all can ride. He says, prevent harm, that's the truest win. And we say, bravo to you, cool dude, Tim.
Gave me goosebumps.
Do you know this person?
That was nice.
Thank you. We're here on We Dish, chatting on life's score, culture, music, food, and oh, so much more. Join us live or on demand, day or night. We won't be here. That's what on demand is for. And enjoy our dishing with shared delight. Meet us for real in our live streaming glow. Comments are welcome. Just play nice. We know who you are, you know. We Dish, Too Saucy Dame and Cool Dude too, Bonnie D and Tim W. Dishing on life's fun, pour vous. That's for you in French. Tim, welcome. How are you now?
I'm doing good. That was nice. That was a good poem.
Did I hit the high spots, the hot spots, the high spots?
You did.
Anything else you want to tell us? You want to talk to me a little bit about your company? Let's get to know it a little bit.
Yeah, we build proactive safety solutions. Instead of looking at everything reactively, we can proactively get ahead of it and save lives. So,
what kind of system? What do you use? We want a little more. We got some techies in the audience here. They want to know, what exactly did he do? Is this sticks? Is this brick? Is this mortar? Is this cement? What is it? Is it systems? What do you do?
It started from a technology standpoint. It started as a simulator, just like a race car simulator, but for construction equipment. And then we expanded into VR, to where it's a collaborative environment. The interesting thing is these environments will adapt to the individual person instead of to just, hey, I got a simulator, I crashed, okay, let's do it again. Now I know what to do. It will it's a dynamic environment. We use AR, and then we have a platform that does analytics that will take all the information and give it to a company to see where they're doing right, where they're doing wrong, and how they can improve.
What inspired you? I know there were some accidents that came up in the bio I read in the introduction, but something must have set a spark that said, I'm Tim, I have the passion, I have the need, the reason is there. I think I'm smart enough to do this. I know there are a lot of tools out there. I think I can get people to join me in this effort. And how did that all come together? I don't have a year for this, if you don't mind. How long did it take to put this together? Was this, okay, we'll do it in a month, or was this a 5-year plan? People like to know about entrepreneurs. Tell me more.
It was about 2 years ago. We originally built a simulator. This is before Safety View was born. We built it for a company that was just a baseline simulation. Then, in your cool poem, it came to my daughter. My daughter was having issues in school. After talking with the school and trying to get them to understand my point, they didn't. They said, these are their policies, these are their rules. I said, there had to be a better way. And after a little bit of bourbon, I was like, I need something that adapts to her.
Was that you with the bourbon, or did you give them the bourbon?
Oh, it was me with the bourbon.
You with your bourbon. Okay, I want to be sure. We're looking for techniques here. Go ahead.
I came home that night, drank some bourbon. My wife was sitting next to me, and I was cursing the school and, oh, this is stupid. And I was like, something has to adapt to her. Well, I was a COO for a custom software development company. So we built all sorts of things, understood technologies. So I was like, AI is coming out. It's becoming efficient. What if I had something that would adapt to her individual needs?
Yep.
And so that's where the adaptive engine, and then we did file patents and stuff on that. But I don't know the education industry that well. And from a founder perspective, you need to know your industry. And so when I was talking to my friend Dave, we grew up together. He had a serious accident, cost over $4 million. And he had made one comment. I was just, how are you doing? And he had said it, kind of went into it. And he said, if that guy, without using the cuss word, said, if he knew what he was doing, trained right, I wouldn't have been here, and I'd give it all back to not have gone through that. And that's where that link came from. Adaptive. I know construction. I was in the industry for years until I got hit by a drunk driver. If I put the same methodology into now saving lives and learning, it could be something. And so then I started research and all that other stuff.
So a lot of this, it sounds like the spark or the catalyst, if you will, is a need. Necessity is the father of invention. Every time a crisis happened with somebody close to you, the light bulb went off and you said, I think I can help. I think I can do something. That puts you at the hero level for me. No, seriously. And I didn't know that your company was just 2 years old. And by the way, I have to do a shout out to Don DeLoach from Rocket Wagon Venture Studio, who introduced us, right?
Yep.
Don has been a colleague of mine in the sense that he's been on my Technology Revolution show many times over the years. And I said, bring me some people in the construction field. Let's talk about AI. And you were one of the prime people he brought to me. So I want to thank
Don's
Don.
amazing. Yep.
Yeah, he was a cool dude. A couple of numbers ago, I think he was
I
in the
actually
high.
watched his episode.
Did you? What'd you think? Did you
Uh-huh.
know all that about Don?
I did not. I learned something new.
See, that's why I do this show because this is nobody says. People say, "Okay, give me a bio," and it's like, "Okay, these are the 10 things I've invented. These are the 5 books I've published. These are the 20 speeches I've given." But people don't talk about where they come from and what the spark. I'm looking for that spark. What I know what made you Tim, but there's a heart at everything you do. There's a need to help somebody you care about. Can you be more specific about what you did for your daughter in terms of this adaptive engine? Is this something that you use for other people? Is it available? Is it secret?
It was so Safety View originally was incorporated as Story View. Um, uh,
Oh,
and I have another business called Avant View.
okay. How many
Something
businesses
about
do you
view.
have? How many businesses do you have?
Right now, 2, and Prime Focus is 1.
Okay.
But Story View was what it would do is it utilized AI to be able to provide instruction. It would change pictures. It would, instead of just giving people, hey, here's the math problem, it would be weaved into a story. That's where the story view. So then when she would use it and she'd build her whole story, but in there is the problems that she would need to solve, or the English and just different subjects that she was struggling with, which were primary on math and English side. But then it would have animations. It was an animated storybook that so it wasn't just, hey, here's the lesson. You are building something, a story you control, and it's really neat. She had straight A's. Well, she had 1B, but she has
Oh dear.
on her report card.
Would you call this gamification, Tim? It sounds a little bit like gamifying a problem and storytelling, which go together beautifully.
Yep.
That's great. You did that for your daughter instead of just the bourbon and the conversation with the school. Very, very interesting. Has this helped other kids? Have you shared it with?
It is. I have not. My primary focus has been Safety View and driving that
Mhm.
mission. In order to get it to publicly accessible, I would need to do development on it that I just don't
Okay.
have time to do.
Interesting.
Maybe
Interesting.
one
Well,
day.
maybe one day, but you hit on some key themes in there because gamification and storytelling are 2 great big words. I've recently done a show on Technology Revolution. I don't know if you saw this episode with people in the learning space, and I had 4 different demographics: a boomer, a Gen X, a Gen Y, and a Gen Z. And we talked about how do different generations, demographic cohorts, if you will, how do each of them prefer to learn? And then the question is, when you're in the teaching instructor, professor profession, how do you reach the students with the way for them to learn, but still make it something you are capable of teaching in your,
Mhm.
so how do you blend? So the topic was who's teaching whom and how? Interesting. And there are actually some AI apps out. One of the gentlemen who was actually a former cop in LA, turned into an HR person and a college instructor. That's an interesting career path. He's on very often. I'll tell you his name later. And he showed us an app live on the show, Tim, that will take something in terms of an instruction or a lesson and put it into the language of another demographic. So it's like, could you please translate this from my boomer language to Gen Z? And it did. It picked up all of those key points that Gen Z, so some generations want storytelling, some want VR, some want games, some want visuals, some want audio, some want an audio video. So it was just interesting. So I'm very intrigued with what you did for your daughter. You're a good dad.
Yeah, she'll, my kids will say so here and there. Depends on the situation.
I know it's not easy. It's not easy. Okay, let's go. Thank you for that backgrounder. I appreciate it. I just think I'm a big fan of yours because
Oh,
anybody who solves problems, you acknowledge there's a problem, you care about the person, you want to help with a better outcome or a future outcome or ameliorating something that's already gone wrong, and you find a solution your own time, your own pocket, I assume, and you make something better for somebody else. This is good stuff, Tim. This
I
is
would say from you talked about founders listening, that is one of the core things you need for driving a business. If you do it for money, once you hit a wall, you won't know where to go. If you
yep.
do it for a mission and a passion, you can break through any of the walls.
I
So
like the word passion. A lot of people write very corny mission statements, and you say, "Really, what is it exactly you're trying to do?" But if you add passion, meaning a reason, a catalyst, that's my word of the day now, and a purpose and passion. I think that's where you go, right?
it's love, I think. So I was on
Ooh.
another podcast. It's called Ananas, but and passion is usually a self thing that you need, where
Hmm.
love is something you give. So
To
a love
someone
for
else.
what you're doing drives business.
There
So
you go. There you go. Anybody wants to sponsor my show? I'm passionate. I love what I do. And my mission is to get the backstories of people like Tim Wolter. There you go. So there. Anyway, no, we're not looking for sponsors. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. This is just too much fun. Okay. Now we're going to talk about cool dude music. Do you have some favorite songs that you love that define you, describe you, inspire you? Any of the above. You do yours and then I'll do my songs, my Saucy Dame songs. Go ahead, Tim.
my wife always laughs at me because there's Eminem, and the lyrics is, if you had one shot, one opportunity to see to to seize everything you ever wanted in a moment, would you capture it or let it slip? To the point where I have a plaque actually it's sitting right in front of me. That's why I was looking down, and it has all the song lyrics on it. So she always laughs because anytime I go into a meeting or do something, I play that song. And the reason being is I grew up extremely shy and introverted, and it would, and I still have it every so often, but I've been able to, push back past that wall. Um, so that just pumps me up. I mean, so
That's really cool. You got a couple of other songs for me?
yeah, I mean, the album, I have a whole list of albums here, but I mean, there's so many because I'm so eclectic. I mean, I'm listening to jazz and Miles
Who's your favorite?
Davis and
Miles
things like
Davis?
that.
Who else? Were you a Brubeck fan at any point?
Brubeck.
Dave
No, I
Brubeck?
haven't
Okay.
heard Brubeck.
Okay.
Um,
Long ago,
and
far away.
to hip hop, country. I grew up on country.
Who's your favorite country star? I want some titles here.
Um, Garth Brooks was the first concert had ever gone to in my life. And my dad had taken me to it. It was on one of his tours. But growing up, I loved like Thunder Rolls, and I loved actually I can't remember the name of the song. I just drew a blank. But this was back in VHS times. It
Hmm.
was his birthday. I was 16, I believe, somewhere in there. And I went to a video production place and I got all the pictures of his life and had him make nowadays you just put it on PowerPoint, but it was
Yeah.
a video
Yeah.
of his life with the Garth Brooks song playing in the background. So,
How
um,
cool. How cool
and
is
then, I mean,
that?
even like heavy rock, my first heavy rock was Slipknot. So,
What
I
is
mean,
Slipknot?
It is a more that's where mosh pits, jumping in, and
Oh dear. Okay.
it depends on my mood. There a lot of the time I will listen to techno. Darude, Sandstorm was like the first one. I
Okay.
really like going to New York and playing techno.
Okay.
There's a song in the movie Hackers, the first song. Um, well, if you play that song and walk down going towards Central Park,
Hmm.
everybody walks to that beat. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
What's the name of the song?
Oh, I have to get it. It's like Ancient or something like that.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, it's hallucinating. I just it's hard to say, but I'll send it to you.
Okay, send it to me. I love it. I'm trying to take care of this thing sticking out of the top of my head here. I'm fussy about my hair. It looks like I had an antenna. Very, very interesting. Most of the songs you mentioned, I'm not familiar with, but it sounds like you're passionate about your music as well, and they say something to you, right? They mean something.
It's called uh Orbital, and the song's called Halcyon, Hallycon.
Halcyon. Okay.
Halcyon. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I'll take a look at it. Are you from New York or no?
Just love business out there. I had done a lot of I was a operations guy for a company that did digital signage, and so I went to New York, Herald Square. There's a Gap there, all the screens there. I did management and Macy's,
Oh,
so I was
really?
yeah.
Really? Well, maybe I'm one of I'm a Long Island girl. I grew up in Queens, New York, and maybe at some point I might have seen one of your signs if I was in the city. I went to the city from time to time. It was a 26-minute train ride from, well, in the beginning when I was growing up, it was a bus ride into the city and then to Jamaica, and then it was a train.
Oh,
But when I moved to Great Neck years later, after living around the country, it was a 26-minute train ride straight into Penn Station. So I spent, and
nice.
I worked downtown and midtown for many, many years in New York.
We
Okay,
learn
that's a
all
whole
sorts of
other.
stuff about each other.
Oh, we really are. Did you know that I'm an early woman in tech? Did I ever tell you that?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, my first job, I was a programmer analyst, and they always had that title backwards. First, you were the analyst, then you were the programmer. I was a coder for the state of Oregon Community College Division of the state of Oregon, working at first at Lane Community College, and I helped them develop a system for reporting. And they hired me to be working for somebody, and he left to go do something making fish food out of salt or something in California. And they put me in charge of the system after 2 years, and I was running a statewide community college information system.
Wow.
And this was the key punch days. And I was my own contract programmer. They said, we need extra. And listen, this is how things went. Pick up the phone. Hi, this is Alan wherever he was in Oregon. I said, hi, Alan, how are you? He said, okay, Bonnie, I'm going to give you the specs for a new program. We need this new report. I said, how do I do this? He said, all right, get out a piece of legal paper, get out a legal pad, and get out a pencil and a ruler, and draw a line across the top and a line on the side. I'm going to give you the column headers, and I'm going to give you the rows down the side. And we want you to code this. Would you please make this happen? So I would go home and code over the weekend, write it down, and then come in Monday morning and key punch everything. And I usually had my programs up and running by noon or 1 o'clock on Monday morning. And they paid me out of funds that were buried somewhere. I called them slush funds from the different community colleges in the system around the state. So that was one of my first jobs. And then I went to a place called Otis, and you've heard of Otis Elevators. Well, this was Oregon Total Information Systems. And I was the programmer for the secondary schools of the entire state of Oregon for the permanent transcript. So let's say your daughter was in a high school somewhere in Oregon, Tim,
Mhm.
and they wanted to know if kids were ready for graduation by the end of their junior year. Had they had enough credits and passed enough classes that they were on track to graduate the following June? Okay. So I had to take the permanent transcript form And I had a printed out physical copy, and I had to redraw the entire layout. It has to be on a certain size of paper when it was printed out. And I had to reestablish all of the boxes of the material, the information that was in there, and put in a little graduation tracking box. I had to fit it into the form and redesign the whole form. I'm not kidding you. And then I had to put the code into the system to take the tracking that was put into a special field by the teachers and the guidance counselors in these schools all over the state that would come in and show Bobby needs remedial English. He ain't graduating next year. And that was one of my jobs. And I was coding in COBOL on a Xerox Sigma 6 CP5 mainframe and keep punching my cards. And then I was coding in PL1 on an IBM 4341. And that's what I did for many years. And I already had a bachelor's degree in psychology, but there were too many psychologists floating around. And I needed a job. I was a young divorcee with 2 kids. And my parents were in New York. I was in Oregon. I was just divorcing. And I said, I need to work. I need to earn a living. I don't want to come home to mommy and daddy with my kids. They sent me a stack of brochures, Tim, and they said, pick something, find something. This was way before email and cell phones. You're laughing. And the stack of brochures with things like X-ray technician and, operator of this and operator of that. And one of them said computer programmer. And I said, what's that? What is that? And somebody said, there's a community college. I think they teach that. Go. So I took 2 buses and I went to put my one kid in school, one in daycare. I went to Lane Community College and I talked to the registrar and I said, I want to sign up for your computer 101 class. And they said, oh, well, we have a sad story for you. It's really full. However, if you quietly come 3 times a week, every one of those classes and wait in the back of the room or find a chair in the corner and don't say anything, we guarantee in 2 weeks, the class will empty out. Half the people will stop taking the class because they have no idea what this is and they're not going to like it. I went for 2 weeks. At the end of 2 weeks, I got a call from the registrar and she said, you're in. We're signing you up for the class. And our class was people from who didn't want to finish architecture school, people who didn't want to finish med school, people who had thought they wanted to be architects and doctors and lawyers, and me with a degree in psychology. We were in our late 20s, early 30s. We had families, some of us were single, divorced, and we went into this, and women were very welcome. There was no gender question of, you're a girl, you can't do this. Nobody cared. And I finished with 2 degrees, and they hired me right out of school to work on this statewide community college information system. What do you think about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's in there. There's a few things. One, it's funny how life kind of moves and in struggle and pain where you really find sometimes the light and I find that fascinating. So
it was joyful. And people say, oh, you need math. You don't need math. You need a logical mind. You know this to solve a problem with technology. And we learned to write our own compilers. We made up our own languages and wrote in teams. Yeah. They had us 3 or 4 students in a group say, okay, let's come up with a nonsense language and write our own compiler. And we did. This was the kind of training we got at a community college level. So I tell people that was my graduate school. I didn't go for a master's or a PhD. I got 2 associate of science degrees right after my bachelor's, and that became the way I made my living. Interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you just needed that logical mind. You needed to look at the problem, look at this sheet with the line across, the line down, and the header to say, I'm going to make this happen. And then you wrote the code. It was a beautiful thing.
And don't quit.
No.
You keep going.
It was, and you learn, I still have my COBOL handbook. I still have a core dump with the green bar paper. I still have notes on when I was taking what program they needed next, how the specs were given to me. On March 8th of 2023, I was invited to be the kickoff speaker for the, Women in Big Data Association or organization invited me to be their kickoff speaker for International Women's Day. And I put together a presentation with pictures of mainframe computers and my COBOL book and coding and what green bar paper looked like and what a key punch card looked like. And these young women were saying, what planet is she from? Where'd she fly out of? It was like, what? We don't do that. Yes, well, we used to, the mothers of psychology did. Anyway, I want to tell you a couple of my songs, and I think
Yeah.
you'll appreciate these. One is me and Bobby McGee. Janis Joplin. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. I think you and I both share that philosophy,
Yeah.
right? The freedom
Yeah.
to create, to figure things out. Hit me with your best shot, Pat Benatar. A lot of people have done that. Respect, Aretha Franklin. Please, I would say, I Will Survive. Gloria Gaynor. New Attitude, Patti LaBelle. Always got to come up with a new attitude. I've had the time of my life by Bill Medley from Dirty Dancing. I'm still
Mhm.
having it. I'm still trying. Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Cyndi Lauper. I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, Helen Reddy. I try not to roar too much. And then I used to teach disco and ballroom dancing and line dancing when I was in Oregon. You didn't know that either.
I didn't.
And yeah, I was a dance teacher freelance. And Donna Summer was one of my favorites for the disco era. And
Hmm.
her discography is the story of my life. She works hard for the money. Hot Stuff. I've never been a streetwalker in LA, but I've been called Hot Stuff. On the radio, been doing this for about 25 years now. No More Tears, Enough is Enough. I've had my tears. Last Dance, I dance in the kitchen now. I don't have a dance partner. I Feel Love with that that disco beat, that Giorgio Moroder
Hmm.
machine in the background, and Heaven Knows from the MacArthur Park Suite. So those are my songs. There you go. What'd you think?
Nice.
Do you know
I
any of
like
those
it.
songs?
I actually do. Yeah. Quite a few of them. For some reason, horrible with names of most of them. I can start every time you said something though. I could hear the song start going in my head. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, she works hard for the money. Yeah, hot stuff, da da da,
Uh,
baby. Yes, okay, let's get away from that. Now, I have a couple of topics. We're going to go into the Fast and Furious off the top OTT section of the show. I'm going to pick three topics, and you're going to give your answer, and then I'll give mine. So, I already know your creativity superpower. We've already talked about that, your passion, your purpose, and your love. How do you start your day, Tim W? Is it a drink? Is it food? Something has to power you. Is it early in the morning? Is it brunch time? Is it lunchtime? Is it a drink? Is it a meal? Come on, give us a clue.
well, I start my day always with a shower. Um, and
Okay,
then
that's a relief.
well, it's the first thing I do. My wife always says, "I won't talk to you until you have a shower and coffee." Well, my coffee, I started moving away from it and went to chai tea with coconut milk. Now more healthier but either way, there's caffeine, and that's what's needed to power me in the morning. So
Okay. Do you brew it yourself? Do you buy it? How do you make your
brew it.
coffee? How do you brew it? Tea bag?
Yeah, well, when I run out, I usually steep it. I have loose leaf that I put in and then steep it that way. Um, if I run out, I have tea bags just in case.
Okay. I had a British gentleman on one of my shows I was doing for SAP years ago, roundtable on something on future of manufacturing or something. He was a real Brit. And he said, I used to have a segment called What's in Your Cup Today? And when
Hmm.
people are on the show 2 or 3 times a year, they were running out of things to tell me because I wanted a different drink every time. And this man said he loved his tea, but done the British way. And he told us that there's a certain millimeter of the fine bone china that has to be the cup, and then the water has to be at an exact temperature. And you never use a dusty American tea bag. That's horrible. And then the tea has to go into this little strainer or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and it has to stay in there steep for a certain amount of time. And he said, that's how you make a real cup of tea. I never forgot him.
Fascinating enough, and I didn't know until I really started getting into tea, but there's tea that requires different temperatures for a different amount of time for steeping
I
to
didn't
get the
know
full
that.
flavor. And I was like, "Whew, there's a lot too." I have a cup that has where you put your loose leaf in there, and it steeps in the mug, and then you pull the piece off of it, and then you
Nice.
have your cup of tea.
That's serious. That's it. Well, I can't do caffeine anymore. I would be up on the ceiling. Caffeine just
Not all tea has caffeine either.
I know. I use decaf tea. I use herbal, mostly mint tea. I like mint, peppermint, mint blends, that kind of thing. I don't do lemon zinger. Some of those have a strange taste to me. I don't do the spicy orange. Ugh, I just like and what I do is I I'm a microwave tea drinker. I know it's a horrible thing to say, but I'll microwave the water till it's about a minute and a half. Then I'll drop the tea bag in, microwave it another 30 seconds. If it's too hot, I do a terrible thing. I put an ice cube in it, get it just where it's hot enough so it doesn't burn. And then when it's done, I leave a little bit in the bottom and I refill it with cold filtered water from the refrigerator.
Mhm.
And then I leave the cup in the fridge. And I have cold, slightly mint water for the next day to have. And then I'll refill it one more time and let it now get whatever is left. I never squeeze the tea bag. You don't want that tannic acid, that awful taste. And then I'll clean the mug and throw the tea bag out and I'll start again. So I use it for
Huh.
a couple of days and I
Use
like it. It's flavored water. It's lovely.
mint is really good for headaches too.
It's
Ever
lovely.
get those?
I don't
Mint?
usually get them. I usually give them. Okay. Next. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, we got a call coming in here. Hold on. Excuse me. What? Okay. Oh, Steven Spielberg's on the. He was to talk to Tim. Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Clint Eastwood. They all want to talk to. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Christopher Nolan, Aaron Sorkin, Lauren Michaels. Tell him to go back to SNL. Robert and Michelle King, Shonda. What do they want? All right, I'll tell them. Okay, Tim. Um, this is really serious. They want to know. One of them wants you to pick a director to produce either a movie about you, about your life, or you starring as an action figure, whatever you want, whatever the genre. And they want to know who's going to play you and the title and the is it going to be, let's see, action, drama, fantasy, musical, romance, comedy, sci-fi, thriller, time travel, and who's going to play you and what's it going to be called? Oh, I forgot Robert Zemeckis was on the line and Guy Ritchie too. So who would you like to direct your movie or your show?
Steven Spielberg is the only one I could say, hey, this is a name, but I think he does more horror stuff. I'm not huge into TV and movies. Usually it's just background noise. But I don't know. Way back, I always thought that it would be cool to be in an action movie or a
Ooh,
biography.
ooh.
Um, until I met my wife. And then I was like, okay, this has to be a romance story. And so so
I love it.
different points in life, right? Different,
Yes. So
but
who's going to play you? Who's going to be Tim?
me.
No, we need an actor. Come on, pick an actor. You got to coach somebody to be you. You got to show them your mannerisms and your style and your voice and your how you dress and how you walk and all that good stuff. Who would you
The
pick?
problem is the people I would think they don't have a voice deep enough as mine.
Mm. We
And
could
then
dub it. We could arrange to have it dubbed.
yeah,
Yeah, we
but
could lip sync.
I know when I was growing up, there's a show on TV. The character's name was Pacey. It was like a kids more teenage show, but everybody said I looked like him. I'll give you the name in 1 second.
Was it a TV show called Pacey?
No, it was an actor. Back in the 80s.
Pacey?
I don't
Pacey?
think so.
Let's see.
But everybody used to say, oh,
Pacey, yeah, Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek. Yep,
Yeah,
that one.
character most associated with the name Pacey is Pacey Witter from the WB series Dawson's Creek.
That's
Central
it.
figure in the show played by, oh, Joshua Jackson. Be still my heart. He's on a new show now on TV called Doctor the Good Ship Odyssey or Doctor. He's a doctor on a cruise ship, and Don Johnson is the captain.
What's the name of it?
Doctor Odyssey.
Dr. Odyssey.
And he's the head doctor on a cruise ship that has different people coming on, different
Yeah.
sections, different people, different themes. And he's the head of a small medical unit, and they do everything, including operations and diagnostics, and they have all the latest equipment. Joshua Jackson, that's how I know him. Oh,
Yeah.
well, there's a little resemblance there, actually. Joshua.
When I was growing up, that's what I always got. There was this one lady at school that would always run around and call me that, and it was like,
Really? Wow. So it would be a romance. And what would the title be?
um, finding true love. I don't.
Oh, that's so
uh,
sweet. Are you sure you don't want an action movie?
yeah,
Because Joshua Jackson could do an action movie for you.
yeah. I don't know. They just, waiting for the right one, something like that. I took most of my life waiting until I got married. And she's my first marriage. We got married last year. It was just gorgeous. So
Who would play your wife? Do you have an actress in mind?
that's dangerous.
I don't know if I want to ask why.
Um, oh, who is it? From the movie The Island. Uh, Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, oh my, oh my. Well, Joshua Jackson and Scarlett Johansson, that would be quite a pair on the screen.
It's yeah. So she has some of those features and
What about
draw
running into love? Running for,
run-ins.
or
Yeah,
running for love.
yeah,
Oh, I
that'd be a
like it.
good one.
I like it. You know, do you think it should be a movie or a TV series? Do you think there's enough for a series or like a 90-minute
I mean, I
feature
think
film?
there's enough for a series. That's
I do too.
I'm partial.
I
So,
think Shonda Rhimes might do something very interesting with some good conversation. She's good at writing or directing with a lot of dialogue that's
I
fast and
mean,
snappy. And what do you
we
think?
found each other, started a business together. So, I mean, it has all the highs and lows and fun and, blended families. I mean, I think
I
it could
think
go
that's
on
cool. I think that's
a
very,
few
very cool.
seasons.
Yep.
So,
Okay. So it's going to be a TV, a limited edition. We'll do six
yeah,
episodes, six 1 hour episodes.
yeah,
Maybe 30 minutes, six 30-minute episodes, and then would have to be eight 30-minute episodes or six 1 hour episodes. And I'll call Shonda Rhimes back and tell her that you picked her. I think she's going to like this one a lot. Okay, thank you very much. My movie would be one of the Donna Summer titles. It would be She Works Hard for the Money, or Girls Just Want to Have Fun, or Heaven Knows. It might be Heaven Knows, even though I'm not, it wouldn't be a religious movie, but Heaven Knows, or I've Had the Time of My Life, Bill Medley. I would pick a song title and Reba McEntire. Even I like country music, but and by the
Reba.
way, who's your favorite country star? You said you like country music?
I mean, just because it has so many memories, it would be that Garth Brooks.
Okay. All right. You did
Yeah.
mention Garth. Okay. I happened to book tickets for Brad Paisley, not even knowing who he was, when I was vacationing with a boyfriend up in upstate New York at the place that was next to Woodstock. They turned it into a great big park and conference center, and trying to think of the name of it. And it was a outdoor pavilion. If you paid enough, you got to sit under the pavilion. Otherwise, you sat on the lawn in chairs. And it was a Brad Paisley concert. And I think Jenny Pickler, who was one of the runner-ups on American Idol, was the opening number. And I had no idea who Brad Paisley was. All I know is we got like fifth row seats in the covered seats. And people in the audience were singing along with Brad Paisley. And I said to myself, what's happening
Brad
here? I don't.
Paisley's
Oh, he's wonderful. I didn't know anything. I didn't know the songs, and I became a real fan after scoring these tickets to go see him. It was Bethel Woods in upstate New York. Great place to go for a concert. Anyway, so those are our TV and and mine will be, okay, so let's say it would be, I think it would be on the radio, and it would be Reba McEntire, who's a redhead, and it would have a little country song. She'd have a couple country songs. She'd write the theme, and she and I would work on the script together. So I would probably let her direct it too. Okay, that'd
nice.
be mine. Okay, now,
I could show you
yeah,
of our wedding if you
yeah,
want.
yeah.
Uh,
If you'd like to,
yeah.
sure.
So
The share is open.
we got married right at a waterfall in Georgia.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
she had some of that Scarlett Johansson to it.
yeah.
Uh, and then
Oh,
then it was, we left the waterfall, and then the reception was on a pier. Um, and
magical.
then
Oh,
this was
how
inside. That is beautiful.
beautiful.
It
That's
was
magical.
it was a gorgeous wedding.
It looks like it. Thank you. Oh, that's beautiful. I've never had anybody share a wedding on the show before. That's beautiful. And the
Yeah,
lavender is just lovely. Really
yeah.
lovely. Who designed who picked, did she pick the colors or did you do them together?
She did everything from picking, where she wanted it, the whole 9 yards. I mean, she did all of it.
And
We did have
where
we
was the
had a
site?
wedding planner, but it was only like the last month of before
And
the
where
wedding.
was this? Where did it take place?
This was in Georgia. So the reception was at Lake Lanier. Um, that's where the pier was. And then the waterfall, she's gonna kill me. I just drew a blank on the
That's
waterfall.
okay. You don't need to tell us.
Yeah. Um,
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. That was lovely. I've never seen a ceiling decoration like that before.
it was
It's
Toccoa Falls.
okay. Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
We could end the show now. I'm in dreamland. Okay, let's move on. I have one more topic for you before we go to our sharing our say what stories.
Yeah.
Last question. Oh, vacation favorites. Where have you been? Your top one, two, or three favorites, and where would you still like to go?
Whew. One of my top spots is Costa Rica. I went out there
Mm,
backpacking. There was a concert out there, a festival. So I went to Costa Rica, and the country, the people, it was amazing. Um, and then outside of that, my favorite vacation was in Georgia. I took That's how we knew about the Lake Lanier and stuff. We got a house there on the lake, took all the kids, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah.
very cool. Where would you still like to go?
Um, Dubai, to see some of the stuff in Dubai, and then Australia and Greece. I haven't been to those three places.
Interesting. When I was 18, between high school and college, my parents treated me to a European trip, a guided tour with a
Mhm.
woman who was our doyenne or our leader. And there were seven or eight girls from around I guess, the East Coast. We'd never met. And we all signed up for this tour. And I lived with a French-Swiss family in
Okay.
Neuchâtel, Switzerland, and went to the university, although even as a very good French student in New York schools, it didn't compare with what they were teaching in Europe. So I spent my days sitting by Lake Neuchâtel eating a chocolate bar and an apple and watching the birds, and I had a lot of fun.
Wow.
But anyway, we went to Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen. We went to Rome. We went to Venice. We went to Paris. We went to London. And yeah, I said Venice. The canals were fascinating. Yeah, so it was an 8-week tour, and it was quite
That
something. And
would be
that was my
awesome.
big European tour. But I saw enough, and I don't travel much anymore. My travels are mostly. I used to use the VR Quest headset, which now feels really heavy and clunky. But I did a lot of touring that way. I just like to see the world. This is going to sound corny, Tim, but see the world through my guests here where you all want to go and your places. And Dubai sounds fascinating, but I'm not getting on a plane anymore. So anyway, it's just I've been to Canada. I've been to a couple of places in Canada, and I was at Expo 67, which was the World's Fair in Montreal. And I've been to other parts of Canada and had some interesting places. And I lived around the country. So I'm in Tennessee now. Don't ask how I got there. I have no idea, but I'm allowed to say y'all. New Yorkers allowed to say y'all. I've lived in New Haven, Connecticut. I've lived in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I've lived in Eugene, Oregon. I've lived in Durham, North Carolina. I've lived in Queens. I've lived in Great Neck, Long Island, and now I'm here in East Tennessee. So there
Wow.
you go. So yeah, so 7 or 8 moves. What the heck? You just keep packing up and paying movers. But here I am. I don't know if this is the last stop. Now, you have some say what stories for us. And by the way, in order to do this segment, I need you to join me in saying it properly. So the answer is say what? Can you say that?
Say what?
That's not bad.
That's all I got.
That's not
That's
bad.
what.
That's the you have to that's the entry point to the segment.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
these are stories that most people we don't think have heard or seen. I have three. Tim has I think three.
Okay.
And why don't you share your first one? And then I tell you what, why don't you do all three of yours and I'll do all three of mine? How's that?
Yeah. We can
Okay,
go
go
that way.
ahead. Go ahead.
Um, Winchester Mystery House is an interesting one. Um, it's extremely quirky, um, and the place was under construction for 36 years, nonstop, 24/7. They just kept adding on to it, more and more and more, which is just incredible intricacies. And I have some pictures I'll show after if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, I would love to.
But the way it was, it highlights like meticulous planning, and BIM, which are critical today. So yeah, it's interesting. And have you ever seen it?
I don't think so. You got some pictures?
Yeah.
Go ahead
Let me
when you're
see.
ready.
Okay.
Sherry is up.
Yay.
Is that one of those outre rings you're wearing, or ori rings? It just looks
No,
like one.
it's just a
band.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see. So this is
Oh
the
my.
mystery house. I grabbed one picture of inside just to show how
Oh.
detailed it is. There's
Oh,
pictures upon pictures upon pictures of this thing. And then as you see, even on this one, it goes way, way back in here.
yeah.
So it was not built for efficiency, but there's so there the blueprints for it was just chaos, I guess, and it was just filled. It was chaos for like confusion and trap ghosts and things like that. There's some bizarre features, which the stairs led directly into ceilings. Uh,
Oh,
there's doors that open onto solid walls or dangerous multi-story drops. Windows that look into other interior rooms. And then it has a labyrinth of secret passages and winding corridors and things like that. It's
grandeur.
it's interesting. If you haven't heard of it, I would definitely just check it out. I heard it on it was Atlas Obscura. It was either there or there's a podcast called 99% Invisible that go into some quirky stuff. So architecture
Mm, mm,
primarily.
beautiful.
Uh,
That interior is quite something.
yeah. Um, and then let's see here. The pyramids.
Yes.
And I kind of named this the impossible stone joints, right? Because if you think of AI, if you think of what we're doing now,
Mm-hmm.
back then I mean, no computers, so they had to figure it out, and it makes you ask the question, why sometimes or how. We've learned through history, the how, with the sticks and the wood and rolling it down that way, but it's really like AI precision how they got those joints together, how they fit them together, and it's just, I mean, when I think of say what, that would be like, nowadays you look at it, it's like how we have all this technologies and these tools, and knowledge, um, at our fingertips, right?
Yes.
And it's just we just have to be willing to use it. Back then they didn't have all that, and they somehow created these magnificent structures.
They
And
did. When you said AI precision or the precision of AI, that is an amazing insight into what they were doing because these things have lasted, haven't they? Somebody did it right. Somebody did the math and they knew what had to be done to make it last, make it built.
I mean, if you think of concrete that we use nowadays breaking down, and
Hmm.
shipping so fast,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, they were using mud and sand, and I mean, it's amazing, what
You've
they were
heard of
able
the
to
song
achieve.
Nobody Does It Better. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
That's
yeah.
beautiful. What you got?
And then the third one's gonna be the Gothard Base Tunnel.
Oh.
Um, this tunnel spans 35 miles, and it's the deepest. It goes into a mountain, and it goes. I think it's the deepest tunnel down into a mountain and out. Uh,
Mm.
so it's at Swiss. It's the longest and deepest railway tunnel. burrowing to a depth of over 8,000 feet, which is just magnificent. And then, so I took a couple notes on this one because there's just tons of stuff.
And where is this? Where is this?
It is in Swiss, in the Swiss.
In Switzerland. Okay, Luzerne. I see. I'm seeing a different spelling. Yes, Luzerne. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous. And it's being used, right? There are
Yeah.
trains on those tracks. And who
Goes down into the mountain, comes back out.
is it tourist or is it for construction or is it for
No,
business or
you can go out there and jump on it.
really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, the scale and complexity of it. I always like to link things to my love, passion in the business, like how the proactive and intelligent safety
Mhm.
that they had to use, because you think about burrowing into depths like that, the pressures, the isometric pressures and all that type stuff, right?
Very
It's
cool.
it's just amazing.
Very cool. Cool, dude.
Yeah.
Very cool. Those are your three stories?
Those are my three stories.
All right, give me sharing back and I'll share mine. I don't know if I can hold a candle to yours, but let me go get these up now and let me Zoom always reshape so we're not side by side anymore after we share. There we go. Okay, let me get my sharing up here and let's go. No, I didn't want that. I wanted share. Okay, we go raise the screen. Here we go. Share. There you are.
Three.
And let's do the screen and let's go to share and see what I've got. Okay. I'm going to hide a couple things on the desktop here. Let's pull this up. So I picked these with you in mind. I hope you enjoy these. Pro surfer Josh Kerr catches waves on the first surfboard made from a retired wind turbine blade. Tim? You could ride the waves on the wind turbine. The boards are the result of a collaboration between renewable energy and infrastructure company Acciona and Australian pro surfer Josh Kerr's brand Draft Surf. It's part of an initiative exploring novel ways to transform decommissioned turbine blades into new products. 10 prototypes made out of one blade used on their wind farm in Victoria, Australia. When you go to Australia, you need to see that. Were handcrafted by Draft Surf on the Gold Coast, unveiled in early March. Interesting?
It is. And actually, when I grew up in California, and I was part of the surf club.
Oh.
And when I was in Costa Rica, I surfed. Yes,
Very cool. I thought you would like that one. Let's go to my second one. Okay. Is it soda or pop? I don't know if anybody cares, but what do you call it?
Pop. It became in California, it's all soda. And then when I got here, it's just stuck. Pop.
I call it soda. Anyone who's moved to a different part of the company and thought they knew what it was, raised eyebrows, part of the regional expressions endure. Soda versus pop. It's so persistent that statistical projects and linguistic studies are devoted to it. Can you believe that, Tim? Soda is the preferred in California, Hawaii, Florida, Southwest, most of the Northeast, and a few parts of the Midwest. Pop is pretty much the rest of the upper half of the country from Ohio in the Midwest to Oregon and Washington on the West Coast. Then there's Coke, which is what people in the South call it, even if it isn't Coca-Cola. You go to a restaurant and you say, I want Coke. What kind, the server will say? Well, it could be Dr. Pepper, it could be Sprite, could be root beer, Pepsi, or even Coke itself. Very, very interesting. To date, more than 400,000 respondents have contributed to the pop versus soda statistical database with their zip codes. I mean, seriously, I say this is a real say what? Okay. And the next one is I pulled this story last year. I thought you would appreciate it. Lego is going to be making its bricks from renewable recycled materials by 2032. Okay. And this article was from September 4th, 2024. The Danish toy company not only reported record profits, and we know a lot of people are using Legos for prototypes, for buildings and for projects. Grown-ups are using them. But they shared big plans to put those gains toward making all products from renewable and recycled materials by 2032, from the 22% they're doing that way today. Okay, Lego block, Lego bricks are fashioned from and usually made from plastics from fossil fuels. In the first half of 2024, they increased the amount of resin purchased from sustainable sources. By doing this, they aim to help accelerate the industry's transition to more sustainable. This doesn't come cheap. The shift from fossil fuels will increase costs by up to 70% compared to the crude oil plastics. But Lego is not going to change their price points. Now, there's
Wow.
an interest. I know, I know. With a family owner committed to sustainability, it's a privilege that we can pay extra for the raw materials without having to charge customers extra. Niles B. Christensen told Reuters. He added more than ever, children need play. Play is universal and taps into their natural enthusiasm and curiosity to learn, helping them to develop essential life skills. And those are I have one more. Interesting. You ever heard of the Booker Prize for novels? The Booker Prize is novels that have been translated from other languages. You ever heard
I
of it?
have not heard of that one. Oh,
Well, they're saying that they're favoring more short novels. There are very few that are over 200 pages. And these are novels I put down here in the notes. They give away a prize of $63,000 to the author and the translator. These are, all right, here we go. I thought I put them in. Oh, yeah. Books translated from French, Arabic, Spanish, Japanese, Dutch, Romanian, German, Italian, Danish, and Kannada. It was established in 2005, so it's 20 years old. Originally awarded to an author for their entire set of work. And now, for the first time, it went to an author of a book of short stories, actually, where there were two authors. Very, very interesting. So, yes, this is books translated, but they're saying, first they said, well, it's harder to write a longer book. And then they took another look at it and said, well, with the loss of attention span among readers, maybe we ought to go for shorter books. And now they say it's harder to write a short book because you cannot waste a word, right? You
I see
have to really hone in on what your message is. So I thought that was interesting. Wasn't there a famous politician, or was it Mark Twain who said I can write something quickly if you give me an unlimited amount of words, but if you want me to do it in one sentence, it's going to take me a week or something like that. It's very hard to write concisely because we want to say more and more. I'm working on my novel, by the way. I've been working on it for 2 years.
I
I'll
have that
send you.
problem.
Yes, I know.
The
I know.
conciseness of things.
Be concise. So listen, we've covered all of my topics that I wanted to talk about, but what I'd like to know right now, let me get music ready for our closing here. What I'd like to know is if a young man, a young boy, a dude wanted to be a cool dude, he said, "Oh, I saw Tim Wolter on your show, Bonnie D, and I want to grow up to be just like Tim." What would you say besides commitment and passion and mission and purpose and love? What would you say to help them find that path? I think that's a good question. What do you think?
Like, I mean, find who you are and find your why, have values, and let that be a guiding light. And because if you follow that, you'll ultimately be a cool guy. I mean, you're not gonna do wrong, do harm. I mean, you just have to have that fire,
Do you think
that
values change over
values.
time? Do you think if somebody has values at 18 and then at 25, they might have seen the world, had a chance to be in the workplace, see different changes in their community and their family and the world and technology, that their values might change? Could those be that be something that shifts over a
I
lifetime?
think I think it's dependent on what you consider values. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think they can shift, but that's not the core of who you are if it's shifting like that. You find
Okay.
your core, find your why, and then have your values, or respect everybody, and don't screw people over. Those values shouldn't ever change.
Yeah.
So,
Those would be personal philosophies or
yeah,
the core of who
right,
you are, and then what you do with that is something else.
right.
Tim, it's been real. I have truly enjoyed, and I know how busy you are. And I did not know your company is only 2 years old. I didn't know you had so many companies. This is why I love to do these cool dude shows because I get to learn about people who've already been on my other shows. And I just know the little top line of what you do, what your company name is, and the topic you join me for which you join me. But on these
Right.
shows, we get to dive deep into that persona, those values, that core. So Anything you want to say before you want to do a shout out to anybody before we go? I'm ready to play the music. What do you think?
No, I would like, my grandpa always said one thing, and unfortunately he passed last year. He was my mentor. He was PhD in psychology, and
Oh,
we talked about it. But he always said, I shall pass this way but once. Any good that I can do or any kindness I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. I was Etienne de Grevet. I can't pronounce the name, but that goes to who you are, finding your why, but that always hits at the core.
Yep.
And that would be a shout out to my grandpa, because he was a huge inspiration along with my father.
that's nice.
Yeah.
That's very, very nice. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to put the music on. I'm going to say thank you in advance to Serge Hoffman for composing the music and singing my lyrics. Tim, it's been real. Don't go away. We'll talk for a couple minutes. Let me put this on. Let's see if we can get you to dance a little bit more. You got it?
Yeah.
Wait for the
So
bridge.
you wanna be
My drums are in the other room.
a tool
I played the other day. I did a couple of riffs on the drums.
with a ink set.
I had my mother's baby grand piano too. Just sitting there getting dusty. But one woman band. Drums, piano, drums, piano. Here we go. Testing your net. Here we go.
So you wanna be
Gonna close this out in a second here. Bop, 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 bop. Thank you to Serge, Tim Wolter. Thank you so much for being my cool dude, number 38. Don't take that personally. You could have been number 1, but I didn't know you back then. And if you have anybody you'd like to introduce me to, you think would be a cool dude, I'd be happy to do that. So let's wave goodbye. Wave
Bye.
goodbye.